Good evening, colleagues, and welcome to the Project Management Guru series. Today, I want to continue what I started on the works variation or contract variation. If you recall, the other day I took you through the steps involved in the approval and implementation of a works variation in a contract. Today, I want to touch on something that has been misunderstood in the industry. And there's a lot of confusion going on around these two concepts as far as works variation are concerned. And I want to provide some clarity on this concept. Today, I want to talk about the variation order. What the variation order is supposed to be as far as the GCC form of contract is concerned. A variation order, according to the GCC form of contract, is any variation in the form, the quality, or the quantity of works, both permanent and temporary works, that are included in the original contract. So a variation order, it's only for changes that you've done to the form, the quality, or the quantity of works, both permanent or temporary, which has been listed in the original contract. More or less, a variation order is a variation of the original contract. It's a variation of works listed in the original contract. It is only the variation order is only acceptable if the changes only is restricted or is happens to only the works listed in the original contract. If the works or the change that you are trying to effect on the contract is not listed in the original contract, that is not a variation order. Okay, so I will explain to you what that means. Okay, now there is this concept of extra work, which is different from a variation order. An extra work is work that is urgently required for the completion of works in the original contract, but was not contemplated in the original contract. Is needed, it has become necessary for us to do this work, but it's not listed in the original contract. Let's take, for example, you are doing some construction work and there's the need for you to construct a new second channel similar to the original channel design. Maybe it's needed for a design correction or it's become necessary. This new second channel you are constructing was not listed in the original contract. So such a work is not a variation order, is considered an extra work. Let's take another example. Let's say you are omitting a channel in the original contract and you are replacing it with a road. This is not a variation order. It is considered as an extra work because the road was not in the original contract. If you do an additional work that you don't actually need for the proper completion of the original contract, let's say a frivolity. Let's take an example. You are doing an improvement of a street intersection. And then a local politician comes around and asks that you construct an adjacent boarding bay for taxis. Do you really need this boarding bay to finish the original contract? No. So such a work is considered an extra work. And then any work that you do which is outside the listed variation order actions, that is, if any work that you do which does not fulfill the requirements of being a variation order, all these are considered as extra work. And how do you implement an extra work? An extra work, we use a supplementary agreement for an extra work. We don't use a variation order for an extra work. We use a supplementary agreement. And a supplementary agreement is a separate contract between the employer and the contractor for carrying out this extra work. And this will be paid separately from the original contract. Thank you very much for listening. I believe this will provide some clarity between these two forms of works variation in a contract. So I see cases where extra work is being treated as a variation order, but it's not supposed to be so. If it is an extra work, treat it as an extra work and use a supplementary agreement to execute it. If it's a variation order, treat it as a variation order and use a variation order instrument to execute it. Thank you very much for listening. Once again, you are listening to the Project Management Guru. You can follow me on my Facebook page, hashtag GCC2015, or you can also visit me on YouTube, the Weekend School for Project Management. There are a lot of uploaded educational videos on contract management and project management that you can watch and subscribe to. Thank you very much and have a good night.